Pakistan's internal politics. It has one unwritten rule. If the army dumps you, you leave quietly. You either go into exile or retire from politics, or maybe find a hobby. Imran Khan is not doing any of that. Instead, he's challenging the Pakistani army. His broken record is longer than expected.
What? Okay, so you have come up with this conclusion, right? Like you say that the ex-Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan, is against the Pakistan army. Okay, so this is your final conclusion. And this may be based on some senses, right? Yes, you have to remember one thing, that there are many senses. You can't just think or come up with a conclusion just based on one sense, right? The first thing is very clear, that Mr. Imran Khan is never ever against of his army, right? It is not naturally possible, right? You can't say it this, bluntly. You can't just say it. But one thing is very clear, that both Mr. Imran Khan and Mr. Bajwa are working for the system of Pakistan, for the nation of Pakistan, right? But their approaches might be different. Mr. Bajwa is using a complex system of different senses, and based on which he better understands how to systematically solve the problems, right? And especially he is very great at understanding the human feelings, right? He is very authentic, very original with the nation and with the system of Pakistan. And not only he is original or authentic with the human being here in Pakistan, but he is also very authentic, and this is by his nature, right? He's authentic with the neighbors like India, Afghanistan, and other neighbors, and internationally he is authentic with all human beings. This is what his nature is. This is what I understand according to his nature, right? On the other hand, Mr. Imran Khan is very affectionate person, and he basically doesn't want to be slave of international powers or any powers, right? Even national or international or regional powers, in whichever form they exist, maybe the money or people or politics or army or whatever is the form of those powers. But Imran Khan only and only wants two things. The number one, we never ever want to be the slaves. The second number, we want to put the nation on the right direction, and that is only and only possible when we get rid of the international powers, right? On the other hand, Mr. Bajwa basically thinks like, this is not just the story of one day. We can't solve this problem just in 1 or 2 days. Why? Because for the last 70 years, approximately, Pakistan is in the hand of international players, right? In one or the other way or forms. But the statement you have just put forward, like Mr. Imran Khan, the ex-Prime Minister of Pakistan, is against of the Pakistan army, it is not naturally possible, right? I understand the nature of Imran Khan, and I understand the nature of Mr. Bajwa. So both of them are working basically for the same cause, but their approaches are different. Just think about Mr. Bajwa. Bajwa is basically, he has this ability of sensing, like he has a complete and complex system of senses based on which he comes up with conclusion, and then he takes the decision. Maybe he thinks like Pakistan is being caught in the hand of international and regional and other powers for the last 70 years, and it is not very easy to get rid of this problem. So systematically he wants, is a responsible person, he wants to solve the problems, right? And on the other hand, Mr. Imran Khan is basically thinking about his nation, to put his nation on the right direction, so that they could be focused on a vision which is not only beneficial for them, but also for the neighbors and international human beings globally, right? But unfortunately, we do not try to understand the perceptions of both of them. It seems like they are enemies of each other, but they are not. They are not the enemies of each other. They are neither the enemies of Pakistan. None of them is the enemy of Pakistan, right? And the same, they are not the enemies of the neighbors, including India, China, Afghanistan, and other regional powers. And they are also not the enemies of the international powers. The only one thing they want, Mr. Bajwa wants a systematic approach, and Imran Khan wants an approach which is right now needed. He doesn't think about the system. He just wants what we basically need right now. Like for the last 70 years, we have been suffering this much. Now we need to take a decision, and we can't wait for the system. We can't wait for any other bullshit, right? So both of them are basically right. And there is a possibility how they could come together and how they could work together, and maybe they are working together, but definitely it is also very important to show the world whatever they want to see in this world, like the things are happening for the world, because the world only wants to see the actions. They don't want to see what exactly should be happened. They just want what they want, right? So those actions are being happened for them, and they're happy, right? But one thing is clear, that the direction for the Pakistani nation, the proper direction, is not only needed for this nation, it is also needed for the neighbors and all the global powers. Why? Because if you are not on a proper direction, definitely then you would do the other steps, the other means, right? And then definitely Pakistan would be blamed for many other things, just like it is being blamed in the past. So my final conclusion is, like, both of them are working for a very greater cause. They are together. They are not blaming each other. And you see why Mr. Bajwa is not taking any action, why he is not responding to the trollers on social media, because he has given this freedom. And this is great thing when the Pakistan army has given this huge amount of freedom to the nation of Pakistan. So on the other hand, the Pakistani nations, they are not in reality against Mr. Bajwa, right? They are just expressing their feeling. By heart, they are with the army, they are with their country, and they are with their nation. So to express your feeling, it doesn't mean you are against one or the other person or the institutions, right? So I hope you understand it. Thank you very much for your report. It was great.